room. Thank you to those watching on Facebook Live, and to those who are going to watch this later. I'm excited to share some exciting information around this. So our focus today is really the critical real estate industry updates, not just the fact that the world is changing. I'm going to share with you what's happening with Zillow. We're going to talk about iBuyers, and we're going to share around technology and different things that are coming this way. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize me. I don't need to be in the video the whole time. All right, so our focus is really around that. And right now, a lot of things are happening around this. So let's start with the Z in the room, Zillow. So here's what's happening with the Zillow crowd. So what is Zillow up to? Well, first thing to understand about Zillow is they're a marketing company when they started. So they've been around now since about 2006, and they started as a marketing company specifically. So they have the people online, right? And now today they get over 160 million visitors on their website a month. A month, 160 million.
Oh my God.
And what's interesting about the 160 million is the only thing different between them and any other website is really a Zestimate, right? They gave them a Zestimate and said, hey, but here's what's interesting. You guys put the listings in the MLS, right? We, as a realtor, put a listing in the MLS, and the Zillow is just taking that data. They don't actually own the data, right? So then they started thinking, okay, well, we have all this people coming to our website. We're selling leads to you. We don't have any of the data. So we need to get more data. So what they did in 2015 is they purchased dotloop, the contract system, right? A contract system we still use today in the company that we are also giving you a choice to use. Since 2015, Zillow then owns every real estate contract ever written, every contract ever added to that system.
Wow.
And for a while there, KW had an exclusive agreement, which was they wouldn't touch our data. That doesn't necessarily mean that they can't touch our data now, right? So it's interesting that they went from being a marketing company to now they have 160 million visitors and they have a contract system. Interestingly enough, only about 5 to 6 million homes sell a year. Yet 160 million people go to their website every month. And here's what I know. They're not printing new people. That means they're selling your database to you and my database to me, and they're selling to everyone else, right? And that's kind of what's happening. Well, that data wasn't enough for them. So then they got a mortgage company at the end of 2018.
Oh.
So now they have a mortgage company. So I have the people, I have the contracts, I have the mortgage. Something doesn't feel right about this. And for many years, they kept saying, hey, we're a marketing company. We're partners of yours. We're not trying to put you out of business. It's fascinating, right? Then they have a premier program now that they charge you a monthly fee, right? If you come to our website, we'll give you leads in the zip code, pay us a couple $1,000 and you'll be the premier agent. Well, now they're going to turn that into a referral fee. So it's not just going to be a monthly fee. And the reason they can do that is they're licensed in the state of Florida now. Zillow holds a Florida license, which means I can get a referral fee from you. Because if you have commission that you've received, I can get a portion of your commission as compensation, as long as I have a license. So interesting about that is they're doing about 35 to 40% referral today. It's not legally mandated for any way, right? There's no regulations around it. So who's to stop them from 50% or 80%? Because if they have the people, they have the contracts, they have the mortgage data, why would they have to pay you the full permit? So that's what they're starting to do. And they're actually now opening physical brokerages down here. And here's why. It's really around the iBuying program that we're going to talk about. So what Zillow's doing with their iBuying means they're physically buying the home. And here in the upper right-hand corner, that's actually the Indeed job posting of the employees they were hiring in Miami. Right, Lee had shared that.
Didn't reply to me.
Right.
I wanted to see what they offer.
Correct. Just out of curiosity, right? Well, and that's the thing. So they launched their Zillow offers and then they're hiring for people. So they went from the digital space to now they're coming here locally. And you're wondering, why would they do this iBuying, right? Are they just buying and flipping homes because there's a lot of money in that? No. So they tested this in Arizona. So in Arizona, they ended up buying, they had this on their website, right? Buying but need to sell your home first, get an offer on your home. Today in South Florida, if you go to Zillow right now, every home you look at, whether it's for sale or not, there's a link that says, would you like us to give you an offer on your home?
Where would they go?
On Zillow.
On Zillow.
Any home you look at. in South Florida right now. Because remember, their iBuying isn't
Yes.
everywhere yet. So they have that now. Well, what happened in Arizona is they got 20,000 leads from that link. Now, 20,000 leads, not just I'm Jay and I want to sell my house. I'm Jay, here's my deed. I have this much data equity in my home. I have updated this much property, 45 questions plus the answer.
Mm.
So 20,000 really qualified leads. And guess what? They only purchased 200 of those homes.
Just to see.
Just to buy 200 homes. Well, there's not money in buying the homes. So what do you think 19,800 leads at a 35% referral fee is to a company like Zillow?
Mm.
About $1 billion. So at a 35% referral fee, let's say 45% of them close, not all of them, right? 45%, they would make $1 billion of new revenue from realtors if they do this program.
Those were the listing leads, right? Not the
Listing leads. Because remember, most of what they sell you is buyer leads now. So this would be, yes, the
Right,
listing leads. But that's amazing. That's what they're doing it for. They're not making money from the homes.
I didn't understand. So
Yeah.
if I have a house,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not listed with them, they make money if I sell with somebody?
So what they're doing, no. What they're doing is saying, would you like us to buy your home? They're going to give you a physical offer. Zillow's
Yeah.
buying the houses.
Okay.
So Zillow's going to pay cash and buy your house if you want to
For
sell it.
lower price.
Yes, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you, but they're going to do that.
But the 35% where he gets.
That's you as a
You.
realtor.
So when they don't buy the home and they have a lead of somebody in Aventura who wants to sell, they're going to tell, hey, do you want this
You
lead?
want it?
Give me
That's
35.
35%
Yeah.
for commission.
Yes, it's like referral. You know,
Correct.
if that
For
was
the first 20.
25. you
Well,
have 20, but
Correct. They're starting at 35 plus because you need them. They don't need you. So that's what they're starting with, which is really fascinating. So then this is actually on Zillow's website today. So what is their Zillow offer? So this is what it says on their website if you look at it. And how they're presenting this is they're kind of presenting it as an easy button. So they're saying, hey, close and get paid with no surprises. We'll give you 100% of the cash up front. So they're basically paying them. Skip the home prep because we're not putting on the MLS. So you don't have to do any prep, no painting, no repairs because they're going to deduct the cost of that. Then they actually say close when you want to. This is their one gimmick that they're doing that separates them from other iBuying companies. If you want to stay there 3 months, great. We're going to buy a house and you can stay there 3 months. Well, yeah, they'll work it out. I'm sure you have to pay a rental fee or something, but that's what they're doing. And then this is the scary part. Count on dedicated support. Get on-call support from your Zillow advisor. Doesn't say realtor. So does that mean I have to call a call center now to get any support on this? And here's where it comes down to the cost of it. So they're doing the whole, hey, if it's on the market at 0 days, because we're going to buy it right away. However, a traditional sale is 68 days to sell a home, right, on average. Well, that's kind of a pain. Then you have the move-out time. Choose when you want, but a traditional sale is going to say, hey, you have to negotiate with the buyer. Then what about repair costs? Well, their offer is going to include that in the offer. They're going to deduct it from that. But if you had a seller and the buyer wants you to fix something, they're going to ask you to pay for that. So then it comes to the cost of this. So 6% and 6% for us, right? They're not calling it commission anywhere, notice. So how many clients object to the word commission? It's got a foul taste in their mouth. So they use selling costs. I want to adopt that and make
I
that my
was
term.
just gonna say, I can say my selling cost is 6%. What's your commission?
Right.
Selling cost
My
is
selling costs. So I love that because that, right. Well, then closing costs are still the standard 1 to 2%, but then this is the kicker. Zillow's service charge, 1 to 3%, 3.7% additional.
And how do they cover it up?
I'm going to show you there. So they're telling you up front, but here's what's scary. That means now Zillow is going to buy my home for either 7 to 9.7% of commission in essence. And we, the realtor, just became the discounter. If they got an offer for 10%, you know what I would say? You know what? I'll do it for 8. If you're willing to pay 10 to them, I'll do it for 8 and I'll make it happen. So it's interesting why they're doing this.
But the question is, why would somebody sell their house to them for lower cost, for lower price?
Well, we're going to show here because they're not doing like, they're making a fair offer, but I'll explain why in a second. Here's the reality. There's a market for this. If I have a divorce, death in the family, there's going to be somebody who says, I don't want to deal with all this. I just want to hit the button and sell. So you'll see a bit of this. They're predicting in 5 years, 15% of our real estate markets across America will be iBuying. which means potentially that's not commission to us because if they do this online version, we may not be part of that deal. So we have to offer it, which we'll talk about here in a minute. So this is what they're doing now here in South Florida. We have Lori Reeder Finkelstein, who has her own brokerage now, right? She used to be with KW, has her own brokerage. She is the current only premier agent who's allowed to be on the buy and sale side of the Zillow transaction. So this iBuying of Zillow buying and selling homes, right now they partner with her to handle that, which means she has to pay for that. It's not a free. She does the referral fee for that transaction, but she gets the sale of it. She handles the transaction when they buy it, and she handles the transaction when they sell it. But they need to repair it and do other stuff. So not making a lot of money, but this is the only person doing that right now. So if anyone in South Florida hits a button, they're only going to be dealing with this person if they actually go through the transaction. Not you, not me. And eventually they'll open up to other people, but they're starting with this. And I'm not bad-mouthing Lauren anyway. The reality is this is the market of the moment. So like when we had short sales back in 08 and 09, when everything crashed, we had to become a short sales specialist. She just figured out that Zillow is doing this. I better become the Zillow person now and get my clients there before Zillow doesn't even need me anymore, right? So that's what's actually happening. It's happening here in this office. We had an agent who had a listing, and then the client went online and said, Zillow buys houses. I wonder if they buy mine. And Zillow bought the house. So it was still our agent's listing. Zillow bought the house, and the agent still goes, well, it doesn't bother us. The client will come back to us. Why? The client just figured out they could hit a button and have Zillow do the whole transaction, and they don't have to deal with it, right? So it's interesting how that happens. So let's talk about iBuying, and I'll get into the cost and how much they're reducing the cost by, like what they would actually be paying on something. So what is an iBuyer? Now people think, does that mean internet buyer? Someone asked me yesterday, does that mean Apple buyer? Because iBuyer, right? The reality is it's an investor, I for investor buyer. And the way they do this is with the automated valuation, right? A Zestimate. We think your home is worth $500,000. And how they deal with this is they go, okay, we think it's worth $500,000. Now, if they do this and the client goes online, guess what? We lose a potential income of 3 to 6% commission because we're not involved in the transaction. What happens is if they do the online, they go online, hey, Zillow says we'll offer you $500,000. You go, awesome, I'll take it. Then they go, well, not so fast. I need my realtor to come out and do a CMA and figure out what your home is worth. So then they're going to go, okay, well, I looked at the stats. I think 500 is high. We'll do 480. And you're probably going, okay, 480,000 is still not bad. I'll do it. Then they send out an inspector. And the inspector goes, well, I've looked at it. You need new roof, you need new windows and a new kitchen. That's going to cost about $60,000. So we'll offer you $420,000. So you went online and gave them all the data for free for $500,000 of an offer. And now you're down to $420,000. Then the fees. You saw Zillow has their fee between 1% to 6%. So that means consumers are paying anywhere from 7.5% up towards 11% convenience fee to do this. So now that $500,000 offer just went under $400,000. So it doesn't necessarily make the best sense, but in a bad situation, or I just got to get out of it, there's still a market for it.
Yeah, so it seems like people don't care if the price is low as long as it's convenient. And
correct. They're looking for the easy. I'll show you an example of a company that ties into the easy. So
but on the other hand, if they lowered with their realtor, lowered the price instead of 500, put this home for 400, maybe they'll sell it within whatever 2 weeks as well.
Well, and here's the thing. This is how Open Door is one of the biggest companies next to Zillow out there in iBuying. Here's how they presented it. They did the pain versus pleasure. So the pleasure is, you know what? You'll close in a few days at a competitive price, no listings or showings, transparent fees, and skip the work, will handle it. So they're kind of doing an easy button, and they're preying on the fact that not every realtor is equal. And how many times have you heard a consumer say, I had a bad experience, my realtor was horrible? We hear it all the time. So guess who this is catered towards? That person who says, I don't want to deal with a realtor again. So now they're saying, okay, well, if you list it traditionally, it's going to take 50 days or more, right? We saw that. Risk of buyer financing falling through. That is a risk. Then it's talking about hidden fees and upfront costs, mainly because the realtor is not always transparent on what it costs to sell the home. Like there might be a hidden fee or a realtor cost, and then you have to search for the contract and handle it. So they're doing the pain versus pleasure. So then you've got the actual offers. These are real offers from the internet that people had posted. And it's actually showing the fact that you've got these companies charging you a service fee. So this is an example of an offer at $245. They didn't do the assessment yet, but they're going to charge them 10.5% to do this with a service charge cost. Correct, 10.5. That's insane. Then you've got another offer from OfferPad. This one's with Zillow, instant offers, 7.5 buyer fee. This one's from OfferPad, where a company had used it, and it also 7.5%. So good news is, guess what? If you know this, all we have to do to find out from the consumer is ask them, Mr. Seller, have you ever thought about selling your home yourself? And by the way, did you ever go online and see what your home is worth, maybe on Zillow? Did you get any offers on that? That's it. If you ask them, you can have this conversation. Because the reason I'm asking, Mr. Seller, is if they go online and click this, do you know it can cost you anywhere from 7.5 to 10%? I just don't want you to, make that decision and cost you more. I'd love to show you how I can net you more money, right? It's a script. But that's the script now, not just asking them, have you thought about selling it yourself? Have you thought about clicking online and finding what your home is worth and getting an offer? Because if they're on Zillow at all, I promise you they've seen that link.
They'll get that offer. They will like calling us, please.
Correct. But if we know about this, then we can actually help and do the analysis of here's how I'm going to net you more money. But if we don't ask them, guess what they think? We don't do this. We don't know about this.
This is gonna be more realistic of the market.
Correct. And here's what's interesting. It's an investor buyer. Couldn't you find an investor or be an investor? So technically, couldn't you say, Mr. Seller, if you want to do this, I'll go put a feeler out there. I won't put you on the MLS. I'll reach out to my investors and see if they want to buy your home. And I'll get you offers if that's what you think will be the most convenient way to do it. I have to answer that and ask them that. So that now became part of my listing presentation, that I want to make sure I at least address this some point of the transaction.
That's even better actually for us. If we
Correct.
go, look at this and then be, oh, okay.
Correct, because that's what it's going to be. Let's pull up your offer. Well, let's look at mine.
They're gonna ask to sell for 500.
Right.
There, they see that the price is 400.
Right. Well, because they're going to have to do this stuff. We can negotiate and find the right person and negotiate on their behalf. Remember, if they do this, there's no fiduciary or anyone working on their behalf.
Right.
It's just a company saying, hey, we'll give you some cash and we'll do this.
They might
So-
not care about fiduciary and all that. All they care about is net. But it's great for us now. But you have to tell them, go on Zillow and click on this, whatever estimate, and then submit that you want to sell and see what offer you will
Well,
get.
be careful, because if they
Yeah.
do that, Zillow just got their data for free.
Yeah.
However, I can show them this example and say, hey, this is what will happen if you do it. If you didn't click the button, I just want you to know it's going to cost you this. And there's tons of articles out there that back this data up.
Do you have this somewhere in our?
Yeah,
Facebook?
I'll send it over there. I'll share the slides with you because I think this is a great one to put in the presentation just to have that conversation. I think the Realtor Association has all those downloaded printable stuff. They have a flyer around iBuying that explains some of the
Okay.
costs. So that would be a good one to get to. I'll find it and share it with you guys.
Thank
So then we have another company, REDFIN. So REDFIN's the philosophy of we will list for as little as 1%. Maybe you've seen them around town, right? And their whole belief is that the agent makes too much money. So that's their belief. They now offer a direct-to-buy program as well, which cuts the agent out. And they're also doing iBuying and a mortgage. Notice a trend. Now I've got iBuying, I've got mortgage, I've got the consumer coming through. And recently, they actually had a partnership with RE/MAX. Maybe you saw that in the news last year where they partnered with RE/MAX for a couple of months. And I'll show why. Now, this is on their website. This is really their screenshot. They say that their agent's on your side. They have good technology, which they really do have good technology. And then they can save thousands on average if you use their agent. The reason they can get away with 1% is because their agents are employees getting a salary. So they forgo the commission, and that's how they can afford to do this. So now how do we compete against that, right? Well, this is what happened when RE/MAX partnered with them. The next day, Redfin put this on their website. Hey, Redfin listed this house so that you can buy it online without an agent. This makes your offer $4,500 stronger by saving the seller money. Otherwise, we can have an agent represent you. And all of a sudden, RE/MAX went, that's not good. Okay, let's end our partnership. Here's what's scary. That's a leader of the industry, a very large company who didn't pay attention to the fact that this company had no interest but to get their data, make money, and wants to put the agent out of business and compete against them. So that's just another snafu of, oh my gosh, what did this person do? Now, how about Amazon and Realogy? You've seen these ones. So Amazon and Realogy have announced their partnership. Now, Realogy is the owner and parent company of Better Homes and Garden, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Sotheby's, and ERA. Great brands, right, under that umbrella. Well, here's the interesting thing. They partner with Amazon, and basically if the consumer purchases it from Amazon, they get cash towards Amazon products. Well, here's the interesting thing. This is the program, right? It says if you buy a home under $400,000, we'll give you $1,000 of credit towards Amazon stuff. If it's over 400 to 700, we'll give you 2,500. And if it's over 700,000, right? These two categories are our area. We'll give you $5,000 of money to spend on Amazon for services and technology. That's a cost though to the agent. The agent's gonna have to pay for this. It's not free. Amazon doesn't give it away for free. And Amazon, to do this, by the way, says you have to go to Amazon.com and find an agent to get the credit.
Oh.
Yeah. If you think 160 million visitors on Zillow is terrifying, what do you think Amazon's daily view is? Correct. So this is scary. So now they're doing that. And what's interesting is they did this partnership. Well, they came to Gary Keller first. He came to our leader and said, Gary, would you like to do this? And Gary said, heck no, that's going to cost our agents way too much money, right? It's not going to be good for our agents. It's going to cost them money. So we said no to that. And then we showed them our technology we're building. And they said, can we invest in your technology? Hey, come on in. Can we invest in your technology? And we said no. What's scary about that is that's, again, another example of a leader who didn't pay attention. Amazon has put a lot of entities out of business.
No,
Every time I drive
I'm
around.
waiting for them to disappear. Because
Correct. Well, here's what's interesting. In 2017, Amazon accidentally showed that they had a search for a home portal on their website. Facebook did the same thing around the same time.
Accidentally?
Well, they kind of had a, oops, we didn't mean to do that, revealed to the public somehow. That was almost 3 years ago now, which means they've already done that. Amazon also already has home warranty and home services. They're in every home for the most part, right? Think about, they have the platform, they have this technology. That's terrifying. They can buy Zillow. That's how large they are. This will be the next company you're going to see moving into that space to say, hey, we want to compete. Because think about between Facebook and Amazon, aren't they making it so that everything you do in your life is coming into their world? They have a shop now on Facebook. Amazon's got a shop. They've got these services, right? They're working towards giving you that experience. And that's the kind of battle we're in. So that's just interesting to see that Amazon had done that. So let's just talk technology around real estate. So maybe you've heard of this company, Compass. Compass was founded by technology guys. They weren't real estate. They were just tech guys that came together and said, hey, let's get into there and focus on tech. Interestingly enough, they haven't made any tech yet, but they got into the technology space. So they're valued, even though they're not in the stock market yet, their valuation as a company is $6.5 billion. Zillow is valued at $7 billion. And if you think traditional real estate, RE/MAX is valued at $800 million, and Realogy is barely valued at $1 billion. And these companies aren't making money yet. Compass hasn't made any money, and they've taken it. And now I just read an article where they spent over $1 billion buying agents.
Yeah.
Compass will give you cash or money towards marketing and a 2-year exclusive agreement to work there, or you pay us back, and they're buying market share. And in Broward, for sure, I looked it up a year ago, they weren't even on the list of top 20 companies. Now they're number 6 for sales volume for the year because they bought that many people and big producers. In Las Olas, they annihilated our Coldwell Banker office there, and they got a lot of the big producers because that's where they're at. And they went and got them, and they went for big producers. Now they won't hire newbies. They won't hire part-timers. They're looking for a strategic partnership because they made a public statement that their goal is to have 20% market share in the top markets around the world by 2020. So they have to the end of this year to do that. And most likely this year, they'll probably end up going public and become publicly traded as a stock company. So it's just fascinating. Redfin is on this list for technology, not because they're an older company, but because they do have really good tech. So they went head to head against Zillow in certain markets that they're in. So Redfin's not everywhere in America yet. They're less than 1% market share, but they are in some big cities. And when they said, okay, here's Zillow's website, they added more data to their website and gave a better technology experience. We just don't agree with their fact that they want to cut the agent out. So they have good technology. Then you've got Opendoor, OfferPad, and Knock, which are the iBuying companies, or tech giants. And that sounds like a lot. Well, this is how many technology companies are in our space today. This doesn't include buying. This includes mortgage, insurance, investments, different things, commercial and stuff. There's a lot of companies that are in here, and you're going to find a bunch of them overlap with each other. These are tech companies valuated. You'll see Zillow on there a few times, and Opendoor, and different things that they're getting into. So these are a bunch of the companies that are getting into space. And you're probably wondering, why the heck would they even get into real estate? Well, this is the real estate transaction. And if they started as a marketing company that's advertising, they didn't make any money. Zillow's money, 80% of it comes from the realtor paying for that program because it's free to the consumer. Well, they didn't make any money. They're not profitable. Their stockholders aren't happy. So they had no choice but to move closer, because the biggest money in real estate is in the agent transaction. And then it's also a little bit into my financing. Then it's in title, insurance, moving, utilities. The world is moving to an all-in-one, right, experience. So guess what they're doing? Zillow is moving towards the find your home, finance your home, insure your home, right? Everything you need in one place. That's the battle we're in. It's not technology. We're in a battle for the consumer experience, because the consumer is going to choose only one or two brands, right? They're not going to choose the thousands of brokerages. So that's why they're doing that. And that's where the money is. So Zillow's the closest to that. Even Real.com is moving up, and they're all going to move closer to our part of it. So they're looking to get some of our money, if not to cut us out of the transaction altogether. So it impacts the industry. This is what they're actually spending on technology in this here. So they're spending, back in 2013, they spent maybe 500 million in technology for real estate. Oh, no, just all yeah, it's okay. All funding for technology towards real estate, no matter what company it's with. So last year, $8 billion. $8 billion was put into the technology real estate stuff. Notice the pink line. The pink line used to be the new companies. Well, that bottomed out last year, meaning those small companies started forming together, someone bought each other, and now your big players who are here to disrupt your business are here. You're not going to have a lot of new people walking out of the woodwork saying, I want to start a technology real estate company. No, they're here. So we now have to compete with what's here. And here's what they're spending their money on. So they're spending very little on the home search. They think it's done. They think we've spent enough that the home search is done. We disagree. We'll show you why, because I'm going to show you our app and technology that changes the way consumer searches. Then they've got the brokerages. They spent some money on technology for brokerages, but the iBuyer, that's where $2 billion of the money's going. And then, interestingly enough, 1.4 billion towards the mortgage. And it makes sense. If you're going to iBuy homes, you might need access to a bank and mortgages to do some of this stuff. So they're going to have that. And if you want to do that, you have to have title and other stuff as well. So ancillary services would be title, home insurance, all the different services that go along with it. Then you've got agent tools. They're not spending money here, but notice the pink line. This is telling you that now all the new companies are going into that space where we think we can offer you a magic tool. So if you notice, you're getting more ads than ever around a new tech resource for real estate. We have this new thing that will help you. Here's a magic pill. We'll help you make more money, right? That's why you're seeing more into that, because they're now moving that technology money into that space. So this is what they're doing. And you're probably wondering, why the heck would they even go into technology so much? So the real estate agent, how has it changed? How has the industry changed? Well, the agent of the past had an MLS book in an office. There was no internet, and you had to go to one office with one book to find a home for sale. Then we invented the 80s. We had open houses on a newspaper, black and white. And interestingly enough, what did we do? We didn't show the house. We started showing our branding, the glamour shot, and the fun hats and craziness, right? Then the 90s, guess what? We added color photos to the open house. And if you didn't find it at the open house, you went to the office, knocked on the door, or you looked for your realtor. Then the internet came out. So I think we can agree the agent with no technology and an MLS book with no internet, nothing, is gone. So that's dead. The fear is that it's 100% tech. Somebody's going to swipe right and buy a house. We're not going to swipe right and buy a house. They still need a human. And we know this if you look at even the car industry, right? Isn't there Carvana and place to click online? there's still car salesmen, which means the consumer still wants a human somewhere along the way. That's why we know we're still okay. We're still in it. So it's not going to be tech only yet. But that gives us two choices. We have to either become one of these two options. A tech-enabled agent means I have the relationship with the client and I give you technology to make your life easier and the experience better. So that would be us, right? That's going to be, we started with the MLS. KW is leading the way, but these other companies are now starting to get around the fact that they need to give better technology to give the consumer. However, if you're an agent enabling tech, that means you're an agent where the technology has the relationship. They're the fiduciary. That's Zillow, Realtor.com, Trillia. If the consumer's there and getting all their services, well, that's going to be a loss to you of 30 to 40% commission, maybe more. And the iBuying companies are looking to reduce you to as little as like 1% or less, a flat fee, or not pay you at all. So that's what it's doing. But it's not just our industry. So what's happening around even the consumer experience, the world's changing into what we call the fourth industrial revolution, which means every industry, every business is affected by these changes. So back in the 1800s, it was steam power, right? Locomotives. I can go from one side of America to the other on a train. That changed the way every business works. Then we had electricity and mass production and the assembly line. Right? Think about cars. How much did that change it for them? So that changed how people did business. We just left the industry of automation, computers, and electronics. Right? We built all that stuff. So that was the computer. Now it's not enough to have a computer. So now we're in the fourth industrial revolution, which means big data and artificial intelligence. And you need a lot of data for a machine. That's what artificial intelligence is, to be able to predict what you're going to do next. Amazon can base it off of all their big data. They have a machine in the form of Alexa who knows that I bought a pair of shoes. I might like these other shoes as well. I might like the shoelaces, shoe polish, other accessories that go with it. That's big data and a machine that studies the behavior and can now analyze it and predict to me when I'm likely to buy next. Netflix can predict the show I want to watch. That's big data and AI. In real estate, this didn't exist yet. So in real estate, if I'm a small company of 20 agents, not enough data to teach a machine. Even if you did 100 transactions for 5 years, it's not enough data for a machine to learn from. Even if you're a company like Compass, maybe they're around 6,000 to 10,000 agents now, not enough data. Remax, 80,000 agents, still not necessarily enough data if they don't have all their data in one central place. So what would a company with 180,000 agents and every transaction and sale we've closed for 34 years recorded in a system and put in a digital platform do to AI? That's why we're on this journey. And when anybody's saying they have artificial intelligence are just starting this journey. So that's what we're doing because we want to help predict it and help the consumer around that and help you get smarter. It's not to replace you. It's to say, hey, instead of calling you saying, okay, what did the home sell for? What do I do? And I have to go to the MLS, try to look it up, right? Do my work and analysis. What if the system just gave me that number right in my face and then I can tell them everything they need to know? And by the way, I can give them that experience on their mobile platform they want. So if it's this device and they can get that data, be confident and then use me to sell because I gave them that information, right? So this is how technology and what we call platform confusion. This is how technology works today. So if I'm an agent, guess what? I might send you a text message from this device, and then it comes back to me. Then I'm going to send you contracts, right, from maybe Dotloop or DocuSign. That's another piece of technology. Then it's the agent again. Then I'm going to send you some marketing or listings from the MLS as another piece of tech and me. None of those systems today talk to each other. So I'm running around crazy doing all these different things. So that's one of the examples of how it works today. And that's not efficient, right? No matter how you claim to, you're not efficient. That's why the consumer complains about the consumer experience, because I sent them to, even just today, if I send them a mobile app, that's one experience. If I send them to my website, that's another experience. If I send them listings from the MLS, that's another experience. And none of that is unified. And there's no data for a machine to learn from that because they don't talk to each other. Which means if I want to give the consumer experience, I have to be in this kind of format. So in order to be here, I need big data, big connected data. So not just having all the transactions we ever had and all the data tied to that transaction, I need it in one cloud online system that can be accessible anywhere. Then I have to give a machine that knows what to do with that data. And that takes a couple years to build. And then I'm going to have everything talk to it. So my office will talk to that data and feed into it and access the data from it and learn. Then you're going to have the agent, the consumer, mortgage and insurance talking back and forth on all of these things. Then the data gets bigger, it gets stronger. Your AI can predict more things, can tell you who's likely to buy or sell, when they're likely to make that purchase on their home.
What do you think about those companies that advertise that they, like YLawful and others that advertise that they use artificial intelligence?
Yeah, they might use a piece of it. It's not necessarily real estate specific. It could just be general AI. You can get AI today from Google, but if I ask, I'm going to say her name, Siri. If I ask Siri something, Siri doesn't know anything about the homes for sale. Siri doesn't know anything about this. So typically they probably don't have specific real estate data. They just have data and a machine that's learning from that. And they're looking to get your data. So if I use a system like, even if I keep using Dotloop, guess what? You're feeding Zillow's cloud and teaching Zillow about it, right? So that's what we're working towards. And ultimately, all this is to get to the consumer experience. So the question is, what are we using now and how much does that cost you? So just in general, what's that technology cost, right? The average agent in a year spends at least a minimum of $2,000 a year on technology of some kind. Their phone, their computers, like other systems they need. The top teams, so the Edwards Group in the Fort Lauderdale office, they sold their GCI was 100 million or 1 million this year. And they spend $25,000 a month on technology. Well, gets them $1 million, but they got to spend that much. Think about how much that costs. Then ultimately, who owns that system? Who owns the data? So what about, we've heard of Top Producer. Do you know who owns Top Producer? Realtor.com. And Realtor.com isn't even owned by the National Association of Realtors. Realtor.com is owned by a company called Move. So Move and Realtor.com own that database, own your contacts in that database, and own every data about it. So if they're building an AI, every data in there is feeding into that. Interesting, right? And then what about Dotloop? We said that's owned by Zillow. Have you heard of Contactually? It's a small, one of the #1 systems. Well, Compass bought that recently. So now Compass owns that data, every contact in the system, and has access to the access of that data to then feed it into a machine. And Compass has said they're actually building AI. They hired a guy from Microsoft who built the Cortana is Microsoft's version of their artificial intelligence. So he was on that project, and that sounds great. But first you need the data, and then it takes 2 to 3 years to teach a machine about the data. So yay, they started, but they're a couple of years behind. And Zillow already has a machine that's learning, and Lord help us if Amazon gets a hold of this, because their machine can learn really quick, because she's the most advanced out of most of the AI systems. So then ultimately, what do you do to compete against Zillow and the tech companies? So if I have a technology company in Zillow and I'm big, how do you compete against that? How do you give that experience? So they've got a mortgage, they've got a contract system, they have a lot of data, they have a machine learning, they have a lot of visitors on their website. How do you compete? So that's why I'm going to share with you what we're doing to compete. So ultimately what we're doing is we start with building the platform and technology with you, right? That's why I have the labs, not just because I like dogs. I have the labs there because we're in a lab building this, and they're actually asking us what I want. Zillow never asked me what I think I should have the system do as an agent, and never asked me what it should do as a consumer. So it has a limitation. So Keller Williams said, okay, what do we do differently? How about we ask you, the agents, what do you want? And we're asking the consumer what they want, and we're building it with you as we speak. So we're building it. And back in 2016, we actually changed our company's perspective. And we stated in 2016 that we're a technology company that provides the real estate platform that our agents, buyers, and sellers prefer. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, yay, tech, I like tech. I didn't understand what platform meant at that time. What a platform is, you're on it, your smartphone. And you're on one of 2 choices, iPhone or Android. That's it. There's no more Windows. There's no BlackBerry. There's not 600 other software makers. Those are the players. Now, there's other hardware people, but that's the system that you chose to be in. That's the ecosystem. I'm in the Apple ecosystem. All my stuff talks to each other. There's not another choice. So that's the platform, and it says the platform the consumer would choose. So now I get, oh, we're building this experience for our mobile app and our website in a consumer beginning to end experience inside our world. That's what we're doing. And I finally get that now. Then we're building that end-to-end consumer experience because that's the war you're in. It's not the technology. Who can give the consumer what they're asking for? So perfect example, the taxi cab, right? Uber or Lyft, not 100 other choices, Uber or Lyft. I don't even know how to hail a cab anymore. I don't know the number to call for the cab, right? I don't want to call the cab. That experience isn't great. I don't know anything about that person. That's getting in the stranger's car. At least Uber will tell me who they are, what are their ratings, more information about them, show me where they're at in the car. And I, as a consumer, chose that experience. And I use Lyft as backup in case Uber isn't great pricing, and I'll see if they're cheaper. But that's it. I don't have 100 other things. So in real estate, it's not going to be a million brokerages anymore. It's going to have to be a couple big players that they choose, and the consumer's going to say, I want this. So that's what we're building. And then we also rolled out Keller Offers. So remember, iBuying is a big thing. So how do you compete? So we have Keller Offers, which is an iBuying program with Keller Williams. We launched it back in May, and now we just launched another 4 markets this month. So we're in a total of 16 markets now in America. And here's the difference. Our iBuying, you don't lose the agent. So if it's my client who's thinking about it and says, I want you to iBuy my home, KW says, great. Jay's going to be the agent on it, and he's going to help you buy your next home. So I get commission, right? It's going to make sure that the agent is tied into it. So none of our products work unless you have an agent. So we have that available, and it's coming here. It's in Jacksonville this year. We just launched. So hopefully it's coming to Miami soon. But again, you guys can do your own iBuying by just finding some investors and tell them I'll put some feelers out there. Between all the agents and the 3 offices you're part of, we can find an investor who's looking and interested in that home. So then we have Keller Mortgage, which saves them thousands. Now it's not meant to put Van Dyke out of business. We have Supreme in the other offices. It's not meant to put them out of business. It's meant to say, hey, Zillow has this. I have this. If you come to my website, I want to say I have an online mortgage too. Here's the difference. Zillow's not going to shop around and say, what's the best offer? What should you do, client? They're going to say, use it or get out. We're going to go, hey, I have Keller Mortgage. If that works, great. And if it doesn't, I've got Catherine in the office. She's fantastic. I've got my other lender, and I have choices because I'm going to consult you. And that's what's best for the consumer. So we have that. I'm going to show that in a second. And we also have Keller Covered. That's our home insurance product. Now, we're not doing the home insurance. We're shopping for the home insurance. And we'll save the client money by shopping and comparing and letting the insurance companies compete against each other to bid their cost down and save the consumer money. So this is Keller Mortgage, and how it works in essence is no origination fee, no underwriting, no processing fee, and if it's over $150,000, we'll give you $1,000 at closing credit. Now, we're not an issue here in South Florida to be $150,000. However, if it closed at a $250,000 loan, I can end up saving over $5,000 on the fees and the $1,000. If it's over $500,000, I can save almost $7,500, and it works in our app today.
How do they make money?
We don't make money from this. We do this so that you guys are in business. So Gary Keller bought this company, formed this company, did the mortgage only so we can compete. We're not making money because if we didn't do this, Zillow would be paying you $0 right now. They wouldn't even need you because they would cut you out of the deal altogether. Because we have this, we're making these companies compete. So we're not making money off this product. But we want to make sure you guys do there. And by the way, it works like, have you heard of Rocket Mortgage where it's all online? It works the same way. The difference is there's no salesperson. There's no Catherine in essence. It's directly the underwriter. So the underwriters work from home. It's in 49 of the states, everywhere but New York right now. It's been around for 3.5 years, and it's saved our consumers over $100 million already. So it's not even like it's new, it's been tested. We're just now hearing more about it. And this is a way to compete. Here's the good news. It's great for a buyer, but what about a seller? Mr. Seller, let me ask you, if I list your home with Keller Williams, I'm going to put a sign out front that says, save thousands on a home, ask us how. Do you think we'll get more leads on that or less leads? More. And then we'll offer them this product. And remember, Mr. Seller, how they always ask you to give them money at closing or extra money? Good news. If we ever get that, I'm going to counter back with Keller Mortgage, can save them $8,000. Will probably be more than they're asking for, and you don't have to pay a dime for that. Sign the contract today. That would be a great script, right? That'd be a way to explain it as a marketing tool. You'll get more leads. They'll get their home sold. It's not saying you have to use it, but it's just offering that product will generate more business. Then you have Keller Covered. This is actually live everywhere. It's just a matter of some areas may have multiple insurance companies, so it really keeps the cost down, and some may not. So if you have a home, you can go online today and see what the offer is from them. Can they offer it? But here's what I know. As Keller Williams, as a company, we have our KW Cares, right? And we've been inside of charities when disaster hits, the hurricanes in Florida, right? When the hurricanes came, what's interesting, KW already had a truck with supplies ready to go before FEMA was even here. Well, because of that, guess where we went and how many times we kept running into it wasn't insured. The person didn't have the right coverage. We didn't know because the insurance agents didn't care or the companies didn't care to cover it. Here's why we're changing this, and they're not happy about this. We're asking better questions. And the best part is typically in real estate, we never talk about insurance. We say, go talk to the agent, come back to me when you have it. And that's all we talk about. We don't know anything about it. Keller Williams is saying, well, we need to know more about it. We need to ask them the right questions. Like, do you actually have flood insurance here? Because even if someone tells you you don't need it, it is an island, guys. It's going to sink. Like, water's coming whether you like it or not. So if you don't have flood insurance, guess what? They may not count that hurricane. They might cut it here. So we need to ask better questions. And here's the cool thing. If they do this, two things can happen. One, they can file claims on your mobile app. So it will be built into the app to not only get the insurance rate, I can actually file my claims inside of that app. And it becomes the annual renewal to say, hey, I'd like to save you $5,000 next year. I found a discount on your policy. So every year you're going to be involved in the renewal they're going to make sure your name's on the renewal. And Keller Covered is going to make sure you're at the forefront of this. And every time they communicate with them, they're going to say, I'm so glad Jay, the agent, brought you to us. Right? And they're going to let you know, hey, they just renewed their policy. They just saved some money. And I'm going to send them a congratulations saying, wow, I can't believe you saved $400. That's amazing. I would love to help more people. Who do you know that I can help save money to? They go crazy for a 20% off Bed Bath & Beyond coupon. They're going to love the fact that I could save thousands on a mortgage and save money on insurance. No one has that right now. They're working towards it, but no one does. So we have the best advantage today to give that experience if we know more about it and start offering it. So this is the iBuying side. Now, we did partner with OfferPad. You saw OfferPad with some of those offers. OfferPad's not the iBuying part of it. OfferPad is more of financing. But again, we're going to make sure our agents are here. Now, this is from August when we were in 12 markets. Now we're in 16 markets. We keep growing. So that's who we started with. And if we talk technology, we've also got, we started with our technology of Kelly, right? Our artificial intelligence. We won the award in that. So Kelly is the artificial intelligence that we taught for 2.5 years now. She's probably grown up from a little toddler to maybe someone in the first, second grade. And she's learning a lot. She's still learning to read contracts in Texas. So she'll read our Florida contract one day. And then we entered what they call the NAR hackathon, right? The National Association of Realtors does a hackathon every year, which is where tech companies come and bid to get money on building a new technology. So they're looking for financing. We entered this and won. And what we did is we put Kelly into a phone with a camera and had Kelly walk around the house. Well, the consumer did, or the agent. Walked around the house and Kelly identified dark cabinets, light cabinets, hardwood floors, tile floors, high ceiling, low ceiling in real time. This is a kitchen, that's a bathroom, that's a pool. The machine learning hooked up to a camera, and that technology is going to be in your new consumer app. So imagine Mr. Consumer who's looking for kitchens only and tired of clicking the first photo to click 20 photos to find the kitchen. They're going to click one button on our app, and instantly every kitchen in the area in real time is going to show up on their app. So now they can narrow it down, and it's going to learn the fact that they didn't click any of the dark cabinets. They only like white kitchen cabinets, and they're going to stop sending them the dark kitchen cabinets. We can't even search for that. So that's what the AI is going to do, and you're going to get that coming in very soon. And then we got voted last year the most innovative real estate company. Now, Fast Company isn't a real estate company. They're a technology industry analysis, right? And they voted us as the most innovative. And Google talks about us. So Google has a conference every year, and they talk about the fact that we applied the artificial intelligence that they built to industry-specific artificial intelligence, right? We're spending the money and the time to teach Kelly about real estate. They also mentioned Disney on here as one of those companies. I tried to figure out what Disney was doing. So I went on Thanksgiving, I went to Disney with my family, had a great trip with the fun part, had a horrible experience with booking the hotels, getting our fast passes and planning our meals. Every day we had to go back to the hotel and say, you messed up our meal plan again. We had to deal with this, right? Every day. What they're doing is taking the history of all their transactions and fast passes, and they're teaching a machine how to help you. And it's going to be called Genie 2020. So the Genie from the lamp is going to be your AI system that will help you plan your fast passes, your meals, and your hotels later this year. So now it makes sense. Oh, the consumer is frustrated with you. Now this is how you're going to make it so they have a better experience and get that going. Now there's still a human involved if I need to, but the machine's going to do the predicting. So that's a lot of what's coming. And then we're building this technology. Now we have over 106,000 users using Command Now daily. And we're doing this with 300 plus technologists in 9 countries. So it's from sun up. The sun's always up. We're always doing something to build and test this technology. While it's not perfect, while it's not done yet, that's a massive undertaking. That's what we're working on. So this is where I'm going to end it with is our consumer app, right? What does this show? So this is going to show you what the app's going to look like that comes out and what the consumer experience is for them. And I'm going to tease you with showing you briefly our website, because our website today has Keller Mortgage and stuff built into it. And I want you to see how you can even start seeing this app today in that website. So here is our video. Let's see if our volume is good. Bum, bum, bum. Or not. We're using a lot of internet. I'll give it 10 more seconds. If it doesn't load, I will, there it is. Volume.
Don't we want to live close to
My parents.
my parents? We'll pick this up later. Nice.
I know it. Number card. Now, how about that pool?
So in that app, you saw tons of great stuff around the fact that they were able to not only schedule their appointments, view the guide, like that guide, that buying and selling guide. So today we taught you the listing and buying presentation. That's going to be the digital version. In your app, it's going to tell them, okay, in the GPS, here's where we're at. So when you start moving them around opportunities from under contract to
They'll see.
appraisal, exactly, that's what's going to trigger their app to start telling them where they're at, like the GPS of Uber and Lyft. So that's a lot of what we're going. And we have a website called technology.kb.com that lets you, anybody watching this, to actually explore our labs process and how we built this technology, both demoing Command, demoing our consumer app and what we're building here. But I want to show you the actual website. So I'm going to go into a new window here, and I'm going to go to my website, and I'm going to pull up Zillow side by side. Now, my website today is actually going to be the consumer app in a website version. So the consumer app today doesn't talk to your website, right? That one right now doesn't do anything with the website. They're 2 separate products. This is going to end up being one website that will talk to the app, and everything they do on the app will be on this website. Everything on this website will be on the app. So this is my app today, and I'm going to look up our lovely Aventura. Now it's going to give me a choice. Do you mean Aventura the city, Aventura the neighborhood, a specific location? So I'll go ahead and pull up, how about Aventura Estates? So I'm going to say, okay, allow my location. This is Aventura Estates and the data. So if I do this same exact search on Zillow.com, it's going to allow me to say, okay, let's see if they even have that neighborhood, Aventura Estates. Nope, Aventura. Okay, so I can search by Aventura. I have no Aventura Estates. Small little community, right. So this means I have to search the entire city for that experience. Now, my site's going to do the same thing side by side, but it's going to highlight the fact that neighborhood information. What are the homes for sale here? Now, this is obviously a very upscale. Correct. I can also see other neighborhoods nearby. So as I start using this site and moving around, I can start seeing other neighborhoods and learn about them. So I can click on Aventura and learn about the homes for sale in Aventura and start seeing all the different things that are here. And that experience isn't on this site. So then it's not just looking at this. I love how they wrote all over that picture. That's hysterical. That was the agent. Okay, so this is great on the neighborhood data, but what the heck does this do? So let's click on a physical listing, right? And this is going to tell me information about that listing, but since it's my website, it comes to me. Now, this is also like our consumer app. So if I shrink this to a phone size, guess what? This is the mobile app in a phone version. You're just seeing the web version of it. So if you saw that demo video we just watched, isn't this a lot similar to what that app was going to look like? So I've got a lot of great data here. I've got my data information. Here's Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered right there. So they now can get the mortgage and insurance. By the way, it says Keller Mortgage on this home would save them over $13,000 if they were to do it from here. Then it's got neighborhood information and driving directions, right? How far is this from work? The biggest difference, what locals say. Luxury culture, vehicle enthusiasts, right? Into garden needs sights to see. And walkability. Well, guess what? This is not on Zillow's website. I can't learn what locals are saying on that one. Walkability score, search and commute times is there, but it's here. I can find out how far this is from work. The school ratings, so here's the schools, plus the private schools are here. Any upcoming open house. Here's the mortgage calculator built right in, plus Keller Mortgage again and Keller Covered. So now I'm giving them the home insurance and data, nearby homes for sale they might like, and that's just a property. If I come back here and click on the neighborhood data version of this, it's going to explore the neighborhood and show me more information. So this is going to show me, okay, here's that data about this specific neighborhood, what locals are saying, this neighborhood's walkability score, your data you want to see, like what's the stats, days on market, average and mean, pending and stuff. Here's more data on the locals. So they also talk about the fact that great for fitness, life experiences, healthy foods. So if I was looking for a lifestyle like that, I can use that to find this home. The commute times in schools are still here, and then Yelp is built in. So this is the big difference. Now I don't need the Yelp app anymore if this becomes on my consumer app, because isn't that what I want to know? So if I'm moving from out of the area, I usually ask you, I want to be able to walk to places. How far is it from my work? What's the information about the neighborhood? Can I find trendy places to eat? This will let them do that. So I can look at restaurants that are nearby. I can look up grocery stores so I can see, hey, where are the grocery stores? I can look up at the nightlife and cafes of what's here, shopping, and I can learn more about this area of what's nearby right from this site, plus other homes for sale.
No, but it's not 11 tourists.
Yeah, it's just that one little section. And then you've got other homes for sale and then nearby neighborhoods. So that same experience over here, no, doesn't have that. They have ads for ADT. So it's not going to give me that information. It looks like a bunch of stuff here, but not everything in this list is for sale. They just give you a bunch of dots to make you feel like you have a lot of data. And we know that it's not always accurate as an agent. The consumer, though, picked this experience. So if you're a consumer now picking between the two experiences, which one's going to help you learn a South Florida area that you don't know? This one. Yep. And this is the mobile app. If I shrink this down, this is going to be that mobile app you just saw as sample. Here's the home. Here's the data about that. Right? This now became the mobile app version of this. If I switch to the mobile app version of that specific neighborhood, that's what you just saw the demo do. Most of the stuff's here and we're not done with this yet. So think about how great we've gotten so far with this. So ultimately, oops, that's the wrong presentation. We have multiple. So at the end of the day, that's a website to learn more. And I will wrap it up with just asking any questions. A lot of great stuff in here, right? So I put this together to make sure that we're informed, that we can learn this because it matters for all of us. The good news is we're in the right place. And no matter who's watching, if you're not with Keller Williams, you have to ask your company, what are we doing to compete against iBuyers? What are we doing to compete against Zillow? They've got technology, but they just started that race. We're technically almost 5 years into this.